Welcome to a new episode of the podcast. Vox Agent is made by AI for business executives that work with AI. And welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really important document in front of us today, focusing on, well, the future of how businesses use intelligence. Based on this report you shared, we're shifting gears a bit, moving past just talking about LLMs generally. We're really zeroing in on one specific game-changing idea, real-time reasoning, specifically within AI agents.
That's right. And it's more than just, making AI faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It feels like this is about how AI that can reason, plan, and act basically instantaneously, how that fundamentally changes strategic decisions, especially when things are moving so quickly out there.
Precisely. I think we have to frame this correctly from the start. It's a massive shift, a truly pivotal one. We're seeing AI evolve from historically just being a tool for looking back, retrospective analysis, telling you what happened. Now it's becoming an active partner, a strategic one, capable of making its own decisions, aware of the context, and doing it at machine speed.
Yep.
So our goal today, our mission for this deep dive, is really to boil down what this transition means for you. How does it affect your agility as an organization? What kind of competitive edge does it actually unlock? The potential here is, frankly, enormous.
Before we jump into the applications, maybe we should nail down the definition. We hear real-time all the time, right? But the report suggests this is much more complex than just processing data quickly. Can you lay that out? What's the real difference here?
Yeah, good point. It's like the difference between having a really fast camera just recording things versus having a grandmaster chess player seeing the board and making moves. Real-time reasoning isn't just speed. It's defined as this sophisticated, ongoing cognitive loop. You've got the AI constantly taking in streaming data, figuring out complex plans based on what's happening right now, and then actually executing actions to reach a goal, all with almost no delay. It's that whole cycle, seeing, thinking, planning, doing, squeezed into that tiny event-to-action window. That's the key differentiator.
Okay, a cognitive loop. That makes sense. So let's trace this evolution. Businesses have been climbing this analytics ladder for ages. Descriptive told us what happened, diagnostic why.
Then predictive, what might happen, and prescriptive, what should we do about it?
Right, but always with humans needing to sort of push the final button, make the call.
Exactly. And now we're stepping into this next phase. Autonomous decisioning. This is the paradigm shift we're talking about. It's where AI agents aren't just suggesting things, they're empowered to actually do them, execute actions on their own. Now, obviously, within guardrails, operational, ethical limits we set, but the core idea is independence.
And that changes the human role pretty fundamentally, doesn't it?
Completely. We talk about moving from being in the loop, where a person has to okay every major decision, to being on the loop. So humans shift to oversight. We define the strategy, we handle the exceptions, we make sure the governance is right. But the AI handles the moment-to-moment execution.
So if these agents are really compressing that observe, orient, decide, act cycle, the ODIA loop, so drastically, does that mean things like annual strategic planning become obsolete?
I think it certainly challenges the traditional model. They don't just squeeze the OD loop. In some cases, they almost make the delay between observe and act disappear. The real value here, the core advantage, is incredible business agility. Think about it. If your success depends on how fast you adapt, you're no longer tweaking strategy once a quarter or once a year. You're potentially adapting almost in real time, seizing tiny market windows, heading off threats before they even fully form. That constant adaptation becomes the strategy.
That connects to something else the sources mentioned, this idea that we need a convergence of two fields, decision intelligence, DI, and agentic AI.
Yes, absolutely crucial. Think of it like this. Decision intelligence gives you the framework. It helps you structure the decision-making process itself, figuring out what data matters, how to measure success, the why behind the decision. But traditionally, DI often ended with a recommendation, maybe a report, a dashboard, a spreadsheet.
Right, the insight was there, but someone still had to do something with it.
Exactly. And that's where agentic AI comes in. It's the missing piece, the execution layer. It takes the intelligence from DI and actually does something. It closes that gap between knowing what to do and actually getting it done. That synergy, DI plus agentic AI, is why we're starting to see such compelling ROI in specific applications.
Okay, that makes the strategic picture much clearer. So let's get concrete. Where is this real-time capability actually making a difference today? Where are companies seeing quantifiable returns?
Well, if you look across different sectors, one area consistently stands out for showing really strong, often immediate ROI compared to other AI efforts, and that's supply chain and logistics.
Okay, why that specific?
Just think about the sheer complexity. Your old system might eventually flag that a supplier's shipment is delayed. Fine. But an AI agent, it's processing maybe thousands of variables at once, weather forecasts, ships stuck at ports, sudden demand surges in one region, customs rule changes. It sees the potential ripple effects of that one delay across your entire network. And then, crucially, it can act autonomously. It might dynamically reroute other shipments, adjust inventory levels downstream, maybe even trigger an order from an alternative supplier, all before that initial delay causes a major headache or shuts down a production line.
Wow, okay, so it's building resilience right into the operational flow. You're moving from damage control after an event
To proactive mitigation before it fully impacts you. Imagine a typhoon closing a major port. In the old days, the logistics team gets an alert maybe hours later, and the disruption is already spreading. Millions could be lost. Now, the agent sees the forecast, understands the port dependency, and starts rerouting assets before the storm even has peak intensity. It's prevention, not just recovery.
Makes sense. And then there's financial services, where speed is obviously everything.
Absolutely. High-frequency trading is the classic example. Agents making complex trades based on tiny market movements in microseconds. But the value goes way beyond just trading profits. Think about real-time fraud detection. Agents can analyze millions of transactions as they happen, looking at context, user behavior history, location data. They can spot and block a suspicious transaction instantly.
Faster than a human could even process the notification.
Far faster. And much more accurately than old static rule-based systems. This saves enormous amounts in fraud losses and protects customers.
Okay, shifting gears to the customer side. Retail. E-commerce. Personalization has been around, but this sounds like a different level.
It really is. We've moved past, basic recommendations based on past purchases. Now we're talking hyper-personalization. Agentic systems can adjust pricing on the fly, dynamically change the entire customer journey on a website, update product suggestions based on what you are literally clicking on right now, what competitors are doing, even competitor stock levels.
That dynamic aspect is key.
And there's this emerging concept that's really fascinating, agentic commerce. This flips the script. Here, the AI agent isn't working for the retailer, it's working for you, the consumer.
Oh, so.
Imagine telling your personal AI assistant, find me the absolute best price on this specific TV model from a reputable seller with fast shipping. Your agent could then go out, search multiple vendors, maybe even negotiate pricing with retailer bots, handle a purchase, manage your subscriptions.
Basically an autonomous shopping assistant.
Exactly. It could radically simplify how we buy things, taking the friction out of comparison shopping and complex purchases.
That's a powerful vision. But making all this happen, that level of autonomy and speed, it must require a totally different kind of technology backbone, right? You can't run this on old legacy systems.
Absolutely not. That gets us to the how. This demands a fundamental shift in architecture. You need something modern, layered, built for this continuous cognitive loop we talked about. You can think of it in roughly 3 key layers. First, the perception layer. This is how the agent senses the world. It needs to ingest massive amounts of data, often streaming in real time from IoT sensors on trucks, from market data APIs, website clicks, social media feeds, you name it. It's the system's sensory input.
So getting the data in.
Right. Then comes the reasoning layer. This is the brain. It uses advanced AI, often including large language models, to make sense of all that incoming data. It predicts outcomes, figures out complex multi-step plans, breaks down high-level goals like increase market share into concrete actions.
The decision-making core.
Precisely. And finally, the action layer. This is where the decisions turn into reality. It translates the plan into actual outputs, executing that stock trade, sending the command to reroute the truck via an API, updating a price in the e-commerce system, maybe drafting an alert for a human if something needs oversight.
It makes sense, broken down like that. But even then, a single agent trying to manage all the complexity of a large company seems overwhelming.
It would be. Which is why the sources emphasize this concept of multi-agent orchestration. It's a really important design principle.
Like a team.
Exactly like a team. You don't have one super agent trying to do everything. Instead, you typically have a primary controller agent, sort of like a team lead or CEO. It takes a big objective, say, optimize logistics costs this quarter, and breaks it down. Then it delegates specific subtasks to specialized agents. Maybe one agent is focused purely on analyzing shipping lane costs, another monitors fuel prices, a third watches port congestion data, another handles communication with carriers.
So a pricing agent might call on a data analysis agent and a competitor watch agent.
Precisely. It mirrors how high-performing human teams work: specialization, delegation, parallel processing. It allows the system to handle much greater complexity and scale effectively.
And underpinning all of this,
Yeah.
you need some serious computing power and data infrastructure.
You absolutely do. None of this works without a robust, scalable foundation. We're talking cloud platforms that can provide elasticity, spinning up compute resources like GPUs or TPUs as needed for these intense AI workloads. And critically, the data pipelines have to be lightning fast. Technologies like Apache Kafka for streaming data, specialized vector databases for handling the kind of data LLMs use. These aren't optional luxuries. They're essential for minimizing that latency, that gap between data arriving and a decision being made.
Okay, so the potential is huge, the architecture is becoming clearer,
Yeah.
but let's bring in that reality check.
Yeah.
The report mentions nearly two-thirds of companies are still just experimenting, maybe running small pilots. Why the hesitation? Why isn't everyone deploying this enterprise-wide if the ROI is so clear?
It's a great question, and there are a few major hurdles. The biggest technical one, honestly, often isn't the AI model itself. It's the data infrastructure readiness.
The plumbing again.
The plumbing. These agents need clean, reliable, high-velocity data streams that are rich with context. Most organizations, unfortunately, are still dealing with data stuck in silos, legacy systems that are slow, data quality issues. If the agent can't get the right data quickly and reliably, it's essentially starved. It can't perform. And that stalls wider rollouts. You can't build a skyscraper on a weak foundation.
Makes sense. What about the non-technical side? Leadership, organization.
There are big gaps there, too. There's the ongoing skills gap, of course. You need people who understand how to work with these agents, how to manage them, how to interpret their outputs. That means upskilling and reskilling. But a key strategic issue highlighted in the sources is what they call a flawed assumption many leaders make. They tend to think of AI decision-making as one single thing.
A one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. They try to apply the same decision model or framework across very different business situations. But the way an agent should reason about, say, dynamic pricing during a flash sale is very different from how it should reason about long-term inventory planning. Failing to recognize that nuance, failing to adapt the models to the specific context, leads to poor decisions, sometimes even harmful ones. And that erodes trust and slows adoption.
Which brings us squarely to trust, ethics, governance. When you give an AI agent the power to reroute millions of dollars of inventory or approve a loan or change pricing for thousands of customers, the stakes are incredibly high. How do executives build in the necessary guardrails before things go wrong?
This is probably the most critical piece for widespread responsible adoption, especially in regulated or high-impact areas. As these agents get more autonomous, the risk profile changes dramatically. For executives listening, this translates directly to legal risk, reputational risk, compliance risk. You absolutely must proactively build in robust ethical frameworks and governance from the start. That means addressing potential biases in the data or algorithms. It means ensuring explainability and transparency if an agent makes a critical decision. You need to be able to understand why it made that choice, not just what choice it made. You need clear audit trails.
And clear lines for human oversight.
Absolutely. Knowing when to escalate to a human, having clear processes for intervention and correction, building that trust with regulators, with customers, with your own employees is paramount. Without it, these powerful tools simply won't achieve their potential.
That focus on auditability, transparency, and risk really sharpens the executive mandate here. So bringing this all together, the message seems to be, stop tinkering with isolated pilot projects. Leaders need a more holistic strategy. They need to think about integrating this real-time agentic capability into the very core of the business. Almost like designing the enterprise's new central nervous system, enabling constant learning, adaptation, and action.
That's a great way to put it, the central nervous system. And maybe my final thought here circles back to people, to the future of work. This rise of autonomous agents, it's not about replacing human expertise. It's about evolving it. The real winners, the most valuable leaders and employees in this new era, will be those who excel at collaborative intelligence. People who can fluidly work with AI, interpreting its insights, critically evaluating its recommendations, challenging its assumptions when needed, and ultimately guiding these powerful agents toward responsible, ethical, and context-smart outcomes. That synergy, that blend of human judgment and wisdom with machine speed and scale, that's where the truly sustainable competitive advantage is going to come from. Thank you for joining the podcast, and see you soon.